king of the key. All his strength was spent as enemies drew near. King Lason knew not how to withstand it. Promethean could make the sacred key with living fire and royal cosmic flame. From the sacrifice of heroes, the tree of freedom grows. With its courage comes from only heaven knows. When enemies encircle and evil brings them down, heroes do what must be done to win the blessed crown. Listen, give his life for his people. Prometheus took the fire and flame. As a man, he wielded sword and shield. But as a god, he slowed in his way. Prometheus redeemed his vision. Till he stole his energy and light, restoring him as I had told the eagle. Redemption and nobility in flight. From the sacrifice of heroes, the tree of freedom grows. Where this courage comes from, only heaven knows. When enemies encircle and evil brings them down, heroes do what must be done to win the blessed crown. Heroic sacrifice, heroic sacrifice. The Lord and his eagle met an area to celebrate his father's mighty deeds. A celebration of heroic sacrifice, a feast of solemn oaths and they sailed the white ship to Promethean, into the pristine velvet wave. Angelic swans with the sacrifice of heroes, the
Before we get started here today on this Roll-In Going Free, I want to express my sympathies for all of those who held the Queen in reverence. She passed on today. Our very own Rory and his wife dined with the Queen, Her Majesty, at one point in the Queen's life. Most memorable to me because she's Queen Elizabeth II, who was the second because there was a Queen Elizabeth I. And my fair state of Virginia was named after that queen. My sympathies again go out to all who held Her Majesty in reverence. Today was her last day. And now let's get ready for our heroes, Porridge and N8Errific, who will be up shortly with a little bit of the great for null.
excellence where there is equality. For every diversity higher, there is a diversity fire. It is not the similarities that make us the same. It is the differences that make us different. The truth is hate to those who hate the truth. Atonement cannot be made for a grievance never committed. There is no Western civilization without Western kind. In a world of collectivism, individualism is suicide. Hollywood isn't history. Hollywood isn't history. Isn't history. Isn't history. Isn't history. Isn't history. Isn't history.
I never hate my race, but until recently I didn't know history class was jacked completely. Found my new family with the team going free. My old family doesn't understand me, cause I am so pro-white. No coke, no Sprite. I am rolling with the bubbly, gonna be more white. I saw them twist history right before my very eyes. Insurrection Day, it's in the book and it's all lies. But now I am alive and well to tell it. But will generations down the line be able to sell it? I've always been a thinker on the search for both sides, but they label me an outcast and they cannot tell me why. Guess I'm just a black sheep, white boy who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all do bleed red. I have to protect my family. Why does affirmative action make them not hire me? Even in the countries where I'm the minority. Is my race just that awesome and no other could compete? Is that what the anti-whites are trying to tell me? Why am I always seen as such a threat? To the point they want to strip me down till there's nothing left. Old friends from high school, man, I haven't kept one. But I got a new crew and it's where I belong. Cause if you ain't going free, you ain't rolling with me. And there are even anti-whites in my own family. But I am the one who's comfortable with myself. I try to save them from the hate so wildly raising hell. Cause I'm the black sheep, white boy who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all do bleed red. I have to protect my family. I heard that Scotland is too white, is Nigeria too black? Don't get your panties in a bunch, cause I have the right to ask. See, I'm the black sheep, cause I call it hypocrisy. And the media will give you emotions, but they will not give you honesty. Yeah, you have your feelings, but I have the crime rate. And I'ma shoot to kill if there's a danger my way. So I do not blame the cops, just the ones who are cowards, who hesitate to pull the trigger unless it is one of ours. Cause he's a black sheep, white boy who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all do bleed red. I have to protect my family. So I put my people to death. I never hate my race, but until recently I didn't know history class was jacked completely. Found my new family with the team going free. My old family doesn't understand me, cause I am so pro-white. No coke, no Sprite. I am rolling with the bubbly, gonna be more white. I saw them twist history right before my very eyes. Insurrection Day, it's in the book and it's all lies. But now I am alive and well to tell it. But will generations down the line be able to sell it? I've always been a thinker on the search for both sides, but they label me an outcast and they cannot tell me why. Guess I'm just a black sheep, white boy who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all do bleed red. protect my family. Why does affirmative action make them not hire me? Even in the countries where I'm the minority, is my rage just that awesome and no other could compete? Is that what the anti-whites are trying to tell me? Why am I always seen as such a threat? To the point they want to strip me down till there's nothing left. Old friends from high school, man, I haven't kept one, but I got a new crew and it's where I belong. Cause if you ain't going free, you ain't rolling with me. And there are even anti-whites in my own family. But I am the one who's comfortable with myself, trying to save them from the hate so wildly raising hell. Cause I'm the black sheep, white boy, who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all do bleed red. I have to protect my family. Is Scotland is too white, is Nigeria too black? Don't get your panties in a bunch, cause I have the right to ask. See, I'm the black sheep, cause I call it hypocrisy. And the media will give you emotions, but they will not give you honesty. Yeah, you have your feelings, but I have the crime rate. And I'ma shoot to kill if there's a danger my way. So I do not blame the cops, just the ones who are cowards, who hesitate to pull the trigger unless it is one of ours. Cause he's a black sheep, white boy, who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all do bleed red. I have to protect my family. So I put my people to death.
And we are rolling and going free. Great to see every single one of you. And folks, what is today? We have the finale. The finale has been out for a couple of days now of the What is Anti-White competition. Did you participate? Did you vote? Did you make a video? Did you share widely with all of your friends and family? You should have. We're going to have with us today the great, lovely Porridge and N8Errific. And we're going to bring Porridge on right now, and then N8Errific as soon as possible. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the very first hero of the hour, lovely Porridge, Jubilation Media. Make sure you subscribe, brother. What do you have to say for yourself? A big congratulations. What an epic competition that was.
Well, thanks very much, Jason. I'm glad to be here, and hello to all the viewers as well, and everybody who made the competition a success, of course. Like yourself, Jason, it was really up to our participants to make it what it was. Without them, there would be no competition. So we were really happy about it, and we're still buzzing over it. And it's actually quite hard to believe it's all over, because we've been working on it for so long, and especially over the last few weeks, it's just been the main thing on my mind all the time, trying to finish whatever task I'm doing, and so I can move on and work on the 4 other tasks. So yeah, I haven't really had a chance to reflect on the whole thing as something behind us, but it's nice to be here, and I can have a relaxing reflection with you and Nate when he shows up, because it's nice not to have to promote it anymore, to be honest, and just wrap it all up.
Well, we have Nate has just joined us. Let me bring him forward. Nate, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
Oh, man. Congratulations to you and all the hard work that you invested in this competition that really got a lot of interest and is going to do an immense amount of good in service to white well-being. What thoughts do you have to share right at the beginning of our little celebration of the wrap-up of this competition? And, folks, we'll be playing the video, rather the finale video, and then probably, I guess, first and second place of the competition. We'll play that as well. But Nate, what are your thoughts on the competition?
Well, I thought it went pretty well. The first thing I want to say is, and I've said this before, but all of the celebration and everything really should be given to lovely Porridge here. I mean, he did almost everything. I really just kind of sat back and told him how good of a job he was doing multiple times. I was the cheerleading squad. But I mean, I'm glad that it's over, but I kind of wish maybe it was going on a little bit longer, just to give some people who maybe didn't hear about it a chance to make a video. Because I think once, it got near the end there and we started really uploading videos and whatnot, is when people really started hearing about it. And so I would have liked to maybe given some people a little bit more time, but I understand, Lovely only has so much time to put into something like this. I would imagine there'll be another competition like this sometime in the not too distant future, and that'll give more people a chance to participate. I thought it went really well. There was a lot of videos I really liked. I'm really happy with how it all turned out. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, let me ask the both of you, where exactly did this? Let's start at the beginning. What's the brainchild for the What is Antiwhite competition?
Well, it really is a simple competition, asking a very simple question. So it wasn't really, I wouldn't call it a brainchild, but we did both notice, everybody noticed in this entire community, that everyone's talking about anti-whiteism, or they're calling things anti-white, just starting to. And it's an idea I was throwing around in my head for a while. And then Mark Dice joined in and started talking about it. And well, now he seems to think he kind of invented it. But the truth is, I had never heard the word anti-whiteism, and it popped into my head, and I never. I'm joking. It was, and it wasn't Gad Sat either who gave me the idea. That's for sure. Jason has told us we need to get this word around. I've done a competition before, so it's a pretty obvious thing to happen. Me and Nate are both time-strapped guys, but we were talking about it, and eventually we said we got to do it now, because otherwise it will be too late if somebody else, takes over and corrupts the word. We want to make the search term available on Google and all that. But Nate did a terrific job, and he was encouraging me. And the reason it wasn't so intense on Nate, you can thank Jared George for that as well, because I've been through this process before. And so a lot of the time I would tell Nate, look, this is how we did it last time. It worked great, so we'll just go with that. And that made things a lot easier. But, there was a time when Nate was saying to me, Will, it looks like people just aren't that hyped about it this time over. And I said, no, just wait. They'll come. And within the last week for the deadline, they just all flooded in, which was fantastic. I'll admit, though, I was a little bit stressed myself, because the last thing you want is to get to that deadline and you've got no entries, or only a couple. But we ended up with 52. So, Nate, can you remember the early stages of how it was?
I just remember us talking on Telegram and talking about needing to define anti-white before the anti-whites do, since it's becoming used more in common discourse. And then you made the idea of getting people to make videos, and I just remember being like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, that's really important. And this is extremely instructive for people in this community, which is a community of doers. And these two gentlemen are a just magnificent example of people who are doers, people who embrace the struggle, people who are the change, not just in a flippant way, but in a literal way. And this is the kind of thing that we should have been doing all along, especially men and women of the West, what we're known for. How pathetic is it that there are too many in the white sympathetic sphere that point to that great industry and tenacity, creativity, intelligence of our race, and then sit on their laurels. You see a lot of that in a lot of places, how far we have fallen. But there are still a great many gems out there, and we're drawing them here to white positivity. And so right at the very beginning of this competition, it's fascinating to me, and it's beautiful to me that there is something that is really instructful to everyone. And that is that both of these gentlemen, both of these heroes, men of the West, saw a potential challenge, and very likely a real challenge, to what we are doing in service to white well-being. And so they decided, even though both of them are very busy, they already have a lot of projects going on in service to white well-being. How many out there have nothing going on and still no time to be able to invest in white well-being? And they decided, well, we have to do something about this potential challenge, which is very likely to unfold as a very real challenge. Get out ahead of it before we're trying to play catch up. Now, what do you see elsewhere inside the anti-white narrative on what they would consider as the right side of the spectrum? You see people reacting always to the anti-whites. Well, this is white positivity. This is white well-being. We're getting out ahead of the anti-whites. This is a completely different animal. We don't do things the same way. We're not sitting back and waiting for the anti-whites to act and then to complain or do something in response instead. And this is the sort of creativity and industry self-starting that we need. This is how the anti-whites can't shut us down. So this is extremely instructive, I should say, extremely instructive and insightful for everyone, because we get to see what it looks like to actually be a change maker rather than somebody who's sitting back. What kind of thought process is going on? Actively sitting down, what's tomorrow going to hold? What are the anti-whites most likely to do? And then developing a scheme, a plan, and then implementing that strategy in this magnificent way, which is perfect, because you have the anti-whites, of course, are shutting us down algorithmically everywhere. So to spread this out algorithmically is brilliant. Mathematically, it makes it much harder for the anti-whites to shut down, especially across numerous platforms. And so what was the thinking there? Was there thinking there that you wanted to get as many videos and as many voices as possible to multiply it across different platforms? Porridge.
Yes, definitely. That was the thought. You know, every single tag had the words anti-white and anti-whiteism in. Every single title had the term anti-white. Just constant. I've never typed the word anti-white so much, and it was across 3 platforms as well. So we hope that will come across in search results. Even Google as much censorship as they have. If you type the terms "what's anti-white" in quotation marks, you will find what we've done. But that was part of it. Just repeating the word over and over and over again, because not a lot of people are going to be open to arguments. They don't even engage into those type of things. But hearing things a lot, that works. That's how that's how we learn language when we're little children. We hear things repeated. We don't hear big arguments on how you should be using words. We just hear it how it's generally used. But with what Nate does too with the OT, the outreach team, I think he would agree that what we find, the reason for all these terrible takes that people have, and boy, they're terrible, some of them, is that they just don't have this word anti-white. It's so simple, and they would be 1,000 times smarter if they could just look at things and point out that's anti-white. You know, the vast majority of people might think that the new Lord of the Rings is absolute garbage. And if you ask them what's wrong with it, they'll get it wrong almost every single time. They might say that it's too political and it's been ruined by the culture war. What's that? Or wokeism, or it's politically correct. And the worst of them might think that the producers had good intentions, and they've made an honest mistake. They thought that including more non-white people will make the series appealing to these different racial groups, and they should have just focused on the story instead of trying to do this. They'll come up with all these awful takes, all these terrible conclusions, because the term anti-white doesn't come up in the forefront of their minds in the same way that the term racism does. That always comes up without any thinking. So we don't want to give people complex philosophies and economic theories or get them to join a religion. We just want that term anti-white to just go bang straight away.
Yeah.
That's what they think of before they've had a chance to think of anything else, and that will put them on the right line from these terrible takes.
Magnificent. I couldn't agree more. Nate, do you have some thoughts on that you'd like to share?
No, I think he covered that perfectly. I'm right in line with you guys there.
Yeah, I mean, setting it up as you both did here, so that these were videos where people would be using these concepts, and just as Porridge was saying, just in speech, so that the thing that humanity does best is we imitate, and something that easy to imitate. All of the psychological warfare warriors over there for the anti-whites, they know exactly how this works. And this indeed will have that same effect. There will be, who knows, how many people that will end up watching these videos over the years, and as a consequence, using these concepts in their conversations, whether it's a friendly conversation or a hostile conversation. It's going to be very powerful for our people. Now, I'm going to play here in just a moment the finale video. But would you, before we go to the finale, let me say, any financial gifts that we have, Entropy Up and Cash App and Odyssey, any financial gifts I'm splitting with the guests here, even though this is a roll-in rather than a tap episode. We're going to handle it the same way as a tap episode.
And I'm going to interrupt on that point real quick and say anything that you get, give my share to Lovely.
Okay, we can do that. And Porridge, you just unmute.
Well, anything I get, I'd like you to give it to Nate as well. Thanks.
Well, we'll figure it out, I guess. We'll pass it back and forth somehow. We'll figure it out. But what would you both recommend that people do with these videos? Should they download them themselves, pull them off the internet, then re-upload them on their different platforms to help promulgate these videos and reduce the likelihood that a platform could end up deleting the source? Because what I've done is, as the videos were coming out, I was just mirroring them, and when you do that, if they get deleted from Porridge, then they're deleted from me. So what would you all recommend?
Yeah, well, one thing I think we've always had a bit of a shortage of is just a one single video that you would share with somebody else. So I would keep that in mind when you're looking at them, to find that one video for that specific person or types of people in your industry or your types of friend groups. And once you've found that one, that's all you really need. And if it doesn't work, well, you've tried. And you can keep sharing that with other people. So that was why we asked people to make it appealing to the general public. So whichever one you thought was the most effective and people had their say on that, they voted, that I would either download that to your computer, because some people might be a little bit worried about sharing a video from a channel that people can then look at the other videos and dismiss it off the basis of something else they saw on that channel.
Right.
So you might want to upload it fresh when you discuss it. I don't know, but we do have it on 3 platforms. So if it gets banned from one, it's still on the other 2. But yeah, it's always about reaching people. So find the one you think will reach people. That's all I'll say on that.
Nate, anything you'd like to add?
I think that's a good strategy as well, because if you pick 1 or 2 videos that you really like, or you just think does a good job of making the point, then you can learn what is said in the video really well. And then when you share it with people, you know how to also argue for it. If you just pick a video at random and you're like, oh, check this video out, and you don't really know what is being said in there, you won't be as good at arguing your position. So whatever you do, just pick a video, actually learn what it's saying, and develop some points, and then share it with people so you can back it up.
Great. And that's really what this is about, folks. Is clearly it's about getting active. They didn't do this for the heck of it. They wanted you to get active. They provided you a marvelous toolbox of videos, and you can select from those videos the one or two or more that you think will work. And maybe you'll find one that works on some people, or you think might work on some people in your circles, and maybe another one or two or more on people in another one of your circles. This could not have been achieved by some sort of centralized fashion, because that would have taken a huge amount of money and people sitting down, and you probably still couldn't have gotten the spectrum that they ended up achieving to be able to speak to people in different lands, different ways. So these are a powerful set of toolbox, and I was really impressed with the people. Everyone's videos actually were really good. There were no videos that were just garbage or were just lame. And I've seen in different communities across the white sympathetic sphere, explicit and implicitly white sympathetic, and the kind of videos that come out of there when they're trying to support a shared goal always strike me, or almost always strike me, as really lame, and without like a single wind filling the sails. And here we saw people that were all kind of maybe on message or on point, or fully aware of what the issue was and able to articulate it. And it's that type of unanimity that is radical strength. This diversity of voices in the wind is total weakness. Teams that work together are the ones that succeed. So you saw videos from folks that are very familiar names, like who make videos, like Yiz and Semiagog, and Jerome. Even saw video from Jerome, and then who else? But then we also saw videos from people that I haven't seen, like maybe they themselves making videos, like No White Gill Clips and Biospirit of the West and Promethean Promulgation, and who else was there? Of course, we saw Brand Danger was there, and the Great Final Blossom was there. But then there were other people who I didn't know, like Maddie 4x4, and some others that were just fantastic. I was really impressed with all the videos. Before we do the finale video, Porridge, we'll start with you. What were your thoughts on these submissions?
Yeah, I think what you said was true. And also, I don't think you would find that they go against your morality in any way. I don't think you'll find any that were playing the role of the villain.
Right.
Anything that would turn the public off and make them disgusted, I don't think we're getting any of that. The reason I did this under the Kindred Creators name, kind of separate from myself, was to, and I didn't present it as part of your community, even though if you watch these videos, it's very obvious where this type of lexicon is coming from. But I wanted to keep it open to everybody, but it did self-select for a very specific type of people, because I did say do not vilify other races, and that would have just cancelled out a huge swath of the white sympathetic sphere, because they just can't help themselves, and they don't want to use any self-discipline. They just want to do what feels good and lashing out and being angry. And the people who did this knew that this wasn't for themselves or for their audience. It was for the general public, the new people that we want to reach out to. And so me and Nate, I don't think we had any problems really with any of the footage. There was where we had to put a warning on White Art Collective's one, because he wanted to show explicitly the harm being done to us, which is something people should see. And one of those clips was from a music video that has no warning on it whatsoever, where I'll just say it blunt what he's doing. It's a black man murdering a white child. And I know from how the anti-whites react, they will allow that music video to go up with no content warning, no age verification or anything. But if I put that on my channel, they'll say, "Oh, this is unacceptable. We're horrified by this imagery." No, you're not. You love it. You love it when it's being celebrated. You hate it when we're pointing people to the harm that's being done. Yeah. But other than that, everybody and people who were not specifically in our community, such as Laura Towler and Sam Malia and Liv Hyde and White Art Collective has his own thing going, but they all did a fantastic job, these outside groups. And yeah, there was nothing there, I think, that would revolt people the way that some of these podcasters are revolting in how they speak and behave. So I was very happy with that.
Nate?
We did get a couple of video submissions that we had to reject. But the one that I remember wasn't for what we would think. It wasn't, naming or anything like that. It was like someone trying to say how like anti-whiteism is racism and racism is bad, and they were just going right back into the anti-white narrative, and It was clear they weren't on the same page as us. Mm-hmm. And we just had to say this isn't really fitting with the explanation of what is anti-white. You've just said like, oh, here's anti-white, and then you've turned it into a whole video about how bad racist people are, and it's just I don't know. Anyway, I did have one other thought I wanted to share about the videos that I'd like to see if we could make it happen at all. I know there's quite a few people in this community who speak different languages, and I think it would be cool if we got maybe a couple of these videos with maybe subtitles in other languages under them, or redone with a voiceover in other languages, so it can be shared with brothers and sisters around the world who don't speak English.
Great.
One of them, there was one by John Malt. I think that was the last video we uploaded. I thought it was really well done, and I think that one, if that one was redone in Spanish and French and Italian and all these great other languages, Icelandic. I'm talking to you, Baldur.
And he did a video. Yeah.
He did do a video. But if we could get it in a few different languages, especially spoken, because people just don't read anymore. But yeah, so if we could get it in a couple different languages, I think that would be awesome. And we could do a couple of them. So I don't know, maybe I'll put a call out on in the outreach team and see if some of the guys who are on the GFCs can just put the call out and see if anybody responds. I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely brilliant. Another way to take these tools that you all have created and all of these content creators and then multiply their power. It's so easy. Now, if you can really see, folks, how all you have to do is put your shoulder into a project just a little bit, and it magnifies it. And we can do that as a community, giving what time each of us can provide. And you really get something that is quite powerful. And when you begin from an intelligent place, and the steps you take along the way are each, a forethought with based in history, based on reason, logic, and evidence, each move a wise one, you can go a great distance. People are so used to having massive sums of money in the political sphere and advertising and etc., and going next to nowhere. And the reason why is because it's unintelligent. It goes in many directions. It's squandered. It battles places that where it simply cannot win. It defends places where we're not being attacked. And so that's why folks have this idea that things have to be so leviathan, so gargantuan to achieve anything. Porridge, I saw you unmute there for a moment. Was there something you wanted to share?
Oh, yeah, no, I had just forgotten about the ones we had rejected, but one of them, I actually forgot to get back to this person, because my idea was maybe I could show it, but make a comment before the video. And I thought, no, because this video said that, we shouldn't harm people just because of their skin color, because we are all the same on the inside. And that's something that can either come from a good place or a bad place. But when we usually hear it, it's coming from a bad place. The reason they're saying that is to erase white people, to say that we don't exist. They're not saying that black people don't exist. It's to say that we're all the same race. And in addition to us all being the same race, there are these other wonderful races that exist as well. And it's just part of the anti-white narrative. And it's not something I want to promote and put out there that we're being attacked. can't you just not attack us because we're all the same? It doesn't work, and it feeds into the anti-whites, because they'll tell you that themselves. They'll say we're all the same. There's only one race, but white people invented their race so they could harm other people, and so we have to attack this invention of whiteness. So Nate and I decided we're going to have very strict rules for this competition, keep it a very high standard. So that's why we had to decide on a couple there. But it wasn't a big deal. And the other one, the guy agreed, yes, it probably wouldn't be suitable. So that was that.
I have not seen a set of criteria gleam so brilliantly, and two judges manning the ramparts against things that could undermine our defense of our people against anti-whites. This is I cannot stress enough to folks, this is another example. It's very easy to look at something like this and say, oh, a couple of guys had a competition and some people made some videos. That's fun. No, I mean, you are seeing, if you look under the hood here, if you have eyes to see, if you can find the hood latch, a lot of people can't do that. If you can find the hood latch and actually see what's happening, this is another great example of two very intelligent gentlemen who are empowered both with the Go Free method and then applying that to the defense of our people against the victimization by anti-whiteism and anti-whites, and as a consequence are able, without some sort of a hierarchy. Imagine this, folks. Seriously, try to appreciate this. Without some sort of a hierarchy where it's got to go up some weird chain of command that can be very easily shut down by the anti-whites, and as a consequence, infinitely more powerful than all of the sort of vehicles and structures that have gone before. I just could not be more excited about the totality of this. I'm delighted to have been able to participate with a video, and I want to get to everybody getting to see this finale video right now, and then we'll have a little bit of talk back and forth after the finale. We'll watch second place, which is Liv's video, truly magnificent, and then we will come back finally with the first place winners and watch their videos quickly. So here we go, folks. Watch up.
Doesn't stop there. Sadly, it's becoming overt.
It's hiring based on check boxes.
To find out what is Antiwhite,
Anything can be used to demean, slander, debate.
This or this.
You've probably seen this word turning up everywhere in conversation with coworkers and family.
Anti-white poison.
Anti-whiteism.
Today, this norm has been attacked from every viewpoint.
Those are just a few examples of anti-white activity.
Don't be anti-white.
I think the meaning of anti-white is fairly intuitive.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the awards presentation for the What's Anti-White competition. We hope you've watched and enjoyed all 22 videos submitted by our wonderful participants, who will be celebrating today with awards and honourable mentions and reflect on the results of this community project. And today we're joined by N8Errific, my co-organiser, who has been working away in the background to make this competition a success. So how are you going today, Nate?
I am doing very well today, good sir. Thank you for asking. And I'm excited to hear who won the competition. So what do you say we get started?
Yes, let's jump into it and announce the top 3 creators who you voted to win a small prize in recognition of their outstanding video. In third place, we have No White Guilt. Congratulations, and it's no surprise that his video was extremely well received, since Jason is not only a participant, but a leader in the cause of bringing awareness to anti-whiteism with his Go Free method. So congratulations to Jason for your entry and all the work you do for our people.
Yes, Jason's video was thorough with some good practical examples and set to a nice calming scene of a stream with sounds of nature. It was quite peaceful. In second place we have Live Pod, with an outstanding video which we have seen circulate across the internet, sparking many conversations.
Yes, Liv's video really moved a lot of people with its deep and hopeful message, so I'm very pleased to see this in second place. And this is the kind of quality we've come to expect from this amazingly talented Liv Hyde. She not only gives advice, but leads by example, creating many community projects, so congratulations to Liv. And finally, the video voted by the viewers to be the winner of the What's Anti-White competition. First place goes to Laura Towler and Sam Mellier. Well done to Sam and Laura for your outstanding entry, and we were overjoyed to have such big names join the competition with a video that gets right to the heart of the matter. And of course, all of you will be aware that Sam and Laura are actively involved in countless projects, both online and in the real world. So they're very well-deserving winners of the What's Anti-White competition. Congratulations to Laura and Sam.
Yes, Sam and Laura are two of the most active and persistent advocates for the well-being of white people that I have had the pleasure of working with. This win is well-deserved indeed.
Well done to all our winners. All 3 whose work goes far beyond content creation, but as you've seen, they show extraordinary skill in creating videos which communicate this most vital message to the public. Congratulations on being voted in the top 3 by our viewers. And soon we'll be sending our winners small prizes as tokens of our gratitude. And thank you everyone for taking the time to cast your votes. I must also mention that my entry under Jubilation Media was voted into the top 3, but as an organiser I'm barred from taking a place, but I greatly appreciate your feedback and votes. But Nate, now it's time for honourable mentions, so which 3 videos stood out to you?
For the 3 honorable mentions I chose, I considered which videos I thought were the most likely to be viewed all the way through by average folks, who, let's face it, have short attention spans and tend to not read. With this in mind, I chose number 10 from the White Art Collective, number 12 by Oliver Martin, and number 22 by John Malt, because all 3 used narration and they were on the shorter side, in addition to doing a good job of demonstrating or explaining an answer to the question, what is anti-white? I also really liked videos that dove into pressing topics such as our identities and how that concept has been subverted, and the various atrocities and violence our people face on a regular basis due to widespread anti-whiteism. I wish I could name them all.
Well, it certainly was a tough choice, but my first honourable mention goes to Promethean Promulgation, with his uplifting poem, which really struck a chord with the viewers. My next honourable mention will have to go to Yiz the Eunuch, who was one of our featured participants and, as expected, created a video that was very shareable, which was the whole point of this competition. And my last honourable mention, and these aren't in any order, but I'll give it to Stephen Clay McGehee, whose video was short but very powerful. Those are the ones that stood out to me, but I must say it wasn't easy to choose because all our participants did such a wonderful job, and even those who were not experienced content creators clearly showed how sincere and noble their efforts were to defend our people from harm and move towards white well-being. So a huge thank you to each and every one of you. You are all winners in our eyes. And since the internet is forever, you have engraved your names into history as the small but dedicated group who took an active effort to defend our people in the darkest times of anti-whiteism. You should hold your heads high and proud for your contributions. And before we close off this final presentation, I'd like to give some special thank yous. Firstly, I'd like to thank Jason Köhne, who helped enormously in promoting the competition, not only to his social media channels, but even placing internet advertisements to reach out to an entirely new audience. We were very honoured to have your enthusiastic support and participation, and all the promotion and encouragement you gave. I'd also like to thank Alternative Voices Portal, who uploaded all the entries to his channels, which have a far bigger audience. I know the struggle of uploading a large number of videos to these websites, so we're extremely thankful that you went to the enormous effort and helped promote the message to your audience. And of course, a huge thank you goes to my co-organiser, N8Errific, who has been through this whole process with me from the start. It's been an honour to work with you and bring this project to fruition. So thanks for your time and effort and willingness to step into the unknown world of content creation competitions to make this project a success.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for including me. I'd also like to thank all of our featured participants who agreed to help us before the project even got off the ground. No White Guilt, White Art Collective, Laura Towler, Sam Melia, Brant Danger, Yiz the Eunuch, and Samiagog. I'd also like to thank all of the viewers who took time to watch and vote and like and share the videos with their friends. I hope this inspired some folks to make their own videos, as we can always use more videos pointing out anti-whiteism.
Well, that's it. We hope you've enjoyed this final presentation. Be sure to visit the website, which contains all the videos and links and a summary of the entire project. And that's the end of the competition. But of course, it's just the beginning of spreading this important message to our friends and families and workmates and letting the entire world know what's anti-white.
That is absolutely magnificent. I love the music too, Porridge.
I let it run a bit longer that last time because it's you won't hear it again for a while.
Right. Well, what are your thoughts? We'll start with you, brother, on your finale there. The finale video is fantastic. And I do want to get let's get a big raucous round of emojis. 07 salutes, V's for victory, W's for win, for both lovely Porridge, N8Errific, and every single person who helped to participated and who helped with this competition, because it really was a project for white well-being, and that's really how we should see it. So thank both of you so very much, everybody else who participated in some way, and every single person who made a video and contributed, even those who maybe couldn't get as a participant, I guess I should say, and able to participate in the competition. This time, maybe next time they'll be able to be on point, and they will be there in the running. So thank you all so very much. But Porridge, the mic is yours.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, it's one of our things with these competitions to show that we're just as committed, and we want to spend a lot of time so that other people, so the people who are thinking about participating will know we're serious about it. So that's why we try and do these fun things, and before every day's premiere would have a little chat about them too, and just show that we're putting effort in because we want this to be successful. It worked out really well because we had 7 days of premieres, and each day there'd be a featured participant and 2 general participants. It was perfect, except for that last 7th day. We had the featured participant and only 1 entry. I thought, I want it to be 3, so I threw out a Porridge minute. But then John Malt came through with a video at the very last minute. So I didn't even get to talk about his video on that day of premieres to say we'll also have John Malt. It was that late, but I should have just had trust in that everything would work out. So the last day we ended up having 4 instead. But that was a fantastic video, and it got a lot of good response. And it ended up Nate giving it his honorable mention. So that was great.
Yeah, it really was. Nate, any thoughts?
Yeah, where did that song come from? I feel like I've heard it before.
The last one or the first one?
The little like techno-y song that you played throughout, like you it was on the opening videos as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't know what it's called. It's just you type in free
Is
copyright
it
free
just
music
a
into.
stock song from
Yeah,
somewhere?
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like I've heard it somewhere though.
I
Like,
think it's, well, you've heard it probably 30 times over the last month, but I think it's going to become synonymous with us, with White Wellbeing. We should re-upload it as the White Wellbeing soundtrack.
we'll get disavowed by the
That's
it's too late now.
I
I actually probably shouldn't put up the name, just in case somebody tries to get back to the artist and say, "Oh, do you approve of this thing?" But
Right.
no, choosing music is so incredibly hard, because if you don't have a voice that cuts through, so much music just won't work. It will just be too busy and extremely irritating too to listen to somebody talk over music. So that was the song I actually used from last competition as well.
Maybe that's where I heard it, the last competition.
Probably, yes.
Because that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, I thought everything went really well. I mean, like I said, Lovely took care of most of it. So when he was, freaking out trying to get videos out in time and stuff like that, I was just like at home taking care of the chickens and stuff. I wasn't even like, I was just telling him he was doing a good job. Yeah, good job there, buddy. Yeah, that looks great. That reads wonderfully. Yep, that sounds good. I think I made a couple of suggestions, but that was about it.
But Nate got the award for the biggest names, I think, because he was the one who reached out to Laura and Sam, and they were the participants with the largest audience. So we were very happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they talked about it in their what do you call it? Tea with the Towers show that they do. They do a little lifestyle show on, I think, Tuesdays, around like 3:00 in the afternoon Eastern time here. And they don't really get into like politics and stuff. They don't get into the nitty gritty and stuff. It's most of the time it's really a lifestyle show. So it's a different flavor than what we mostly get in the white positive community, where it's always about how horrible things are for us. They take it
Right.
a slightly different direction and just kind of have a little bit of a talk show. Now inevitably it goes into PA stuff because they are big names in that, but
Yeah.
it's a good show. And they talked about the competition, and they were genuinely surprised that they won, because they were like, we haven't advertised it really to anybody. We didn't want to like use our popularity or anything like that to win. So we didn't want to flood our chats with links to this. But yeah, they ended up winning anyway. One thing with their video, and I might reach out to them via email on this. I would like to see if I could get them to re-record the audio with a slightly higher quality recording of their voices, because I think that would go a long way. They wouldn't have to change anything else, but if they could just maybe overdub it with slightly better vocals, that would be incredible, I think.
Well, let us know how that works out. If they do make a new one, we'll be sure to share that as well. Can I share my certificate that I was proudly presented to me? May I share that?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, let me see if we can do this. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. Third place. I'm so proud. That is magnificent. Look at how beautiful that is. This is a real thing, folks. If we're not giving each other trophies and certificates, no one will. And that's what the anti-whites do to each other. They give each other red carpets and bright lights, and for being as anti-white as possible. Well, this is beautiful, and I can't thank you both enough. But let's get on to Live. This is the second place video of folks. And
actually, Jason, could I?
Yes,
could I
please
just say something.
Yeah.
We've given out certificates to our honourable mentions as well, but we will be making them for everybody else just to say they participated. So it's something you can chuck away in a folder somewhere or print it out and put it on your wall. But yeah, we like to have little things to celebrate you. So that was just a token of
it's a very meaningful one, and it's touches like that it's way too easy to overlook. And it speaks to a really primal thing that we don't have enough time here tonight to talk about, but it's touches like that make things real. And so I deeply appreciate it. And that's the kind of people that we draw to white positivity, is the best, who are going to give their best effort to make things as genuine and authentic and meaningful as they can be. And that's why I know that there'll be people taking these tools, these videos, and going out into the world and making hay while the sun shines, while we're still able to say things like anti-white and anti-whiteism. But let me see if I can.
On that note, real quick, I wanted to mention I have 2 YouTube accounts, and both of them have been flagged to the point where any iteration of anti-white that I type into a comment gets automatically deleted. Anytime. Wow. I even started resorting to doing a little ant emoji with a letter E and then a white spot. So it was Ant-E-White, and they automatically delete me for that as well. So if you do any sort of, advocating for white well-being on YouTube, you're likely not far away from being flagged and banned, having your comments automatically deleted anytime you say it. Because I've gotten in arguments with other people as well and said, I'm banned here from saying certain words. I can't say that word because people have said, why don't you type it out all the way? And then they respond typing it out and say, oh, you're lying. See, I can do it. So it's obviously targeted at specific accounts, because I can check with my secondary account to see if my comment went through, and they don't. So it's already starting.
Yeah, unfortunately it is. And it's really targeted on folks, because it really is a Stasi type of a tactic. They want to perpetuate the idea that there is freedom of speech. The scary thing is, I was thinking about this just today, is that we were here when it was wild, and the algorithms gave vent and voice and time to those who the people wanted to hear from. People coming up after us won't know anything but the controlled environment. And they'll think that they're getting freedom of speech, and they'll think that they're getting what they want to see and hear, when in reality, it's really become carefully orchestrated. And as a consequence of being here before that, we can see it.
Yeah, we had one video flagged down from the Kindred Creators channel by Jerome V. Right. He made a mention about how the anti-whites are not only poisoning us mentally, but also physically now. They're encouraging lifestyles that do harms to us, giving us poisons. And this got flagged for a medical misinformation. Now he had uploaded this on his channel, and I had mirrored it from that channel. It didn't get flagged on his channel, which means it's not the algorithm. It's somebody watching through, timestamping a very specific point, and then reporting it to YouTube, who took it down. Now, luckily, that got put straight back up, because I just said we endorse the World Health Organization recommendations, and this does not contain any medical advice. And luckily it got to somebody probably who couldn't be bothered watching it again, just said, okay, so he sounds like he's telling the truth, and it went back up. But that's how careful you have to be now, because that one little word he said in the middle of his video, it was a long video, about 10 minutes, somewhere around the middle, the anti-whites who were keeping a keen eye on us and timestamping the specific parts. Who knows how many other videos they did, but by the good behavior of our participants, we were protected. Yeah, it's going to be the only way we're able to talk moving forward is using white positive language, and fortunately it's going to be it is the most powerful way for us to present our message. So here, folks, if we're ready now, the great Liv Hyde has really an epic video. Let's have a look.
What is anti-white? To find out what is anti-white, let us first define what is white. We are white. We are the white people, the Euripids, the descendants of Cro-Magnon. Our forefathers survived the ice ages and came out on top. Thus, our genes have been brutally selected and refined for tens of thousands of years. We share Germanic, Celtic, Slavic, Finno-Ugric, Baltic, and/or Italic ancestry. Our brilliant men have shaped this world with discoveries and inventions like no other man were able to. Our women are desired and chaste for their outstanding beauty and practical skills. Our phenotype is as diverse as it gets, with hair and eye colors in countless combinations. We, the white people, are very different from other peoples, who are also grouped as Caucasians, such as Turks, Arabs, Persians, and Jews. We whites just recently rediscovered how different we are. We only recently started again to celebrate our uniqueness and special intellectual and creative qualities. We started again to look for and together with other awakened whites, just for the sake of feeling this belonging to our own group, which is a racial group, let's dare say it. Therefore, everything that stands in the way of exclusive white life and white well-being is consequently anti-white. However, there are many anti-whites who do not want us to build our own communities and practice our own traditions, as all the other mentioned Caucasian subgroups, as well as all the other races, do freely and openly. Whites are discriminated against by Western media, politics, and education. The double standard is blatant. Only white people's need for social exclusivity is never mentioned, as if it didn't exist. Our need for racial pride, racial well-being, and racial survival is not even pronounced as a valid objective. Quite to the contrary, whenever we express the desire for white in-group preference, we get stigmatized by all the big corporations and organizations chanting racism in unison. They do not want us to define ourselves as separate from other racial groups. The anti-whites want us to mingle and melt, but having mixed-race children in societies would kill our race and our culture, which is clearly anti-white behavior we must reject. We need to take responsibility. As soon as we have understood the scheme set up against us, our duty is to act on it. Let us not waste time lamenting our fate or blaming our ancestors, the government or the system for all the misery and degeneracy that white people face in the modern world. We are responsible for shaping our future now. Not doing anything but complaining is anti-white behavior. Whites are resourceful people. We have demonstrated numerous times in the history of mankind that we are innovative, courageous, and persistent. In fact, not wanting to find pro-white solutions is not only not white, it is anti-white. We need to build online and especially offline local communities. I invite you to find pro-white partners or like-minded people on whitedate.net, or to work with whites on whitedeal.net, or to find alternative solutions to build your family with whitechild.net, which we just launched. We provide these 3 platforms, but there are plenty of other possibilities to foster white cultural, financial, and political independence. If you are a naturally born leader listening to this, build your local pro-white community. Create events, fairs, markets, dances, concerts, celebrate birthdays, barbecues, harvests, and also our ancient white celebrations, Ostara, Midsummer, Samhain, and Yule. We are a noble people. The antagonist has meticulously studied and shamelessly exploited our kindness and generosity. Therefore, we must focus on ourselves to heal. every white man and woman's first goal should be to invest their time and energy in the building and well-being of white families as well as our white extended family, our race. White loyalty first. This includes the understanding that there are mixed-race people with European admixture that constantly try to infiltrate and manipulate our groups. Some of them even look like us without being loyal to the white race. Not understanding that those people are secret agents positioned in white institutions by pushing anti-white policies has harmed our people for thousands of years. We need to learn to recognize anti-white infiltrators. In fact, not excluding infiltrators is a completely anti-white act that should be shamed because it hurts our white societies from the inside out. We need to re-embrace our old traditions, the synergy of the masculine and feminine that has helped our race survive and prosper through the ages. Our way of life goes back long before religion was invented to unite people by ideology instead of their racial bond. Only recently, this natural synergy between the sexes has been deconstructed by feminism and by psychological attacks on the white masculine psyche using imaginary guilt cults. Luckily, we have a brain to question lies. In fact, not questioning attacks on our group, despite the ocean of revised historical material at hand, is not only plain foolish, but obviously also anti-white. We must question the anti-white narrative to find the truth. The anthropological and historical facts will make us understand where we come from, which will help us regain our deserved self-confidence and self-love. Finally, yet importantly, the idea of a savior keeps us from freeing ourselves. There will be no Messiah, no Führer, no Q, no Putin, no Bruce Willis, no UFO-driving Reichsdeutsche coming from Antarctica to save us. We are the ones we have been waiting for, and we need to organize, preferably in a decentralized manner. This is an unpopular opinion, but I'm not in the business of pleasing everybody, so here it is again. I believe that any centralized structure represented by a brand, a flag or a national leader, which can be usurped by money-printing anti-white forces, is in the end not useful to white liberation and therefore anti-white. Think about how we have been managed from top to bottom through centralized systems using destructive brother wars and expropriation schemes. The less hierarchy we build, the less effective external infiltration and manipulation techniques will be. We need to take back our responsibility. There is no such thing as freedom without responsibility, and freedom cannot be outsourced. There will be small units though. Local leaders are already appearing by the thousands to build and manage white communities that obviously can also cooperate regionally and even globally for mutual support and exchange of ideas. We have many great men in our ranks to head stem-like structures, and they will find other white leaders in other regions, countries, and on other continents to talk to. These white men will help us build tribal safe havens. These local tribes might have to unite one day to fight a military attack. We need to get prepared. Think global, act local. White leaders can use whiteday.net/groups to network, it's free, or they can organize differently. In any case, decentralized, we will become ungovernable and uncontrollable by the globalist forces. There is so much more to say about the withdrawal tactics from their financial, political and educational systems, as well as their propagandizing, demoralizing and degeneracy-pushing media. I trust in your curiosity to explore unconventional possibilities. I wish you to get safely through these end times, which are followed by a golden age. Let's make sure our descendants will see it.
Wow is all I have to say to that. Absolutely wow. What a truly stupendous, and I can see from the live chat how much people were just in love with this video, how powerful, how brilliant Liv is in this. She's on point, the totality of the video, the editing by her colleague there, truly glorious. This is the kind of video that should be changing hearts and minds and across the entire white sympathetic sphere. It is beautifully delivered with her feminine voice and touch, and yet the concepts are the most powerful of weapons we have wielded in our defense in a very long time. Thoughts from both of you before we get to our number one video here from Laura and Sam.
Yeah, sometimes it's the tone of voice and the atmosphere you create that's just as important as the message. And even before you know what she's going to say, you don't want to click away from it because it's just so calming. And her message was great as well. But people, I think Caleb said in the chat, it's like white well-being ASMR. And I've often been mistaken in thinking that it needs to be short, it needs to be punchy and get to the point. But not always. People sit down and listen to things like this for a long time. They watch videos of eating and all this stuff that go for 30 minutes. So if she can do it that way, that's quite a long video at 10 minutes. And it gives a lot of hope as well that there is a future, because if you ask most white people if they think the future is looking up, most of them will say no. So, and if that is the case, then often nothing matters. It doesn't matter about whether you're being attacked or not if you don't think there's any hope. But I loved that video, and so did the audience, and it's been shared around a lot. So yeah, we were really, really happy with that one.
Yeah, Nate?
I concur. I don't really have anything else to add. I thought it was great. I also had the tendency to think maybe it was a little too long, but I mean, I think it's good. I don't think I was trying to think, what would I take out of that video to make it shorter? And I couldn't think of anything that I would want to take out of it. So I think it's the right length.
It is absolutely magical. She is like a sorceress, and she is speaking. It's with such a power, such a the spirit of the West coming through her, and you rarely hear that powerfully in our women throughout history, except for when they're speaking to our children, but here she's speaking to the totality of our people, and it is a great wielding of the spirit of the West, and that voice just speaking right through her. It should be summoning. If in my opinion, if our people were as healthy as we have been in other times and not as sick as we are today, I can't imagine a man of the West and a woman of the West not heeding everything she had to say there and flying to the silver trumpets of our biospirit and the defense of our people. What a beautiful thing, and how epic the individual was who helped with the editing and did the videography, I guess it was. Kudos to him. Real plaudits for both of these champions of the West. And now, folks, we're going to get to the winner of the What Is Anti-White competition. The winners, of course, community favorites all over the place, Laura and Sam. So why don't we go ahead and watch that now, folks? Enjoy.
What is anti-white? 0 articles from the BBC when the news broke of 1,000 girls abused, tortured and even murdered in Telford.
But a media circus when a black girl overhears the N-word in the university hallway.
Don't look back in anger and let's just carry on as normal when 22 people, including children, are killed by an Islamic terror attack in Manchester.
But calls to action and this must be stopped when young lads are posting edgy memes online.
University grants for black students accepted,
but university grants for white students turned down.
It been fine to say that diversity won us a trophy when non-white sports teams do well.
But when those same sports teams do badly, did diversity lose us the trophy?
Constantly hearing that most terror suspects are white, despite the fact that white people are actually underrepresented in these crimes, and despite the fact that most of these crimes are not terrorism anyway.
But it's crickets about the overrepresentation of non-white and far-left violence.
Black Lives Matter celebrated,
but White Lives Matter condemned.
The stalking, defamation, silencing, and the financial attacks on pro-white advocates.
In contrast with the worshipping of pro-black advocates despite criminal history and mysterious losses of funds.
Everybody knowing the name George Floyd and Stephen Lawrence,
but no one's heard of Chris Donald, Ross Parker or Richard Everett.
Unlimited funds and political action when non-whites were struggling in the education sector.
But now it's white boys who are least likely to succeed. It's silence, no money, no advocacy.
The government, the media, the police and social services refuse to even acknowledge the industrial skill rape of our children.
But those who bring it up and expose the corruption are hounded and silenced by the same authorities that covered it up in the first place.
Non-white history is celebrated with entire months dedicated to men and women who were mere mouthpieces for the anti-white establishment.
Meanwhile, our statues are torn down, street names changed, and history itself is rewritten. No historical figure or event can be celebrated without being picked apart.
Non-white backgrounds are celebrated and sacrosanct. They're able to collectivise through race alone.
Meanwhile, white people are told they're mixed, mutts, or sometimes that they don't even exist at all. Attempts to collectivise are met with broad-spectrum condemnation and attacks.
Diversity quotas are forced upon companies and many areas are attacked for being too white. Overrepresented non-white groups in sectors such as banking, for example, are above critique.
Spaces without a white person in sight, however, are celebrated and encouraged. Diversity clearly just means less white people.
Those are just a few examples of anti-white activity that we can think of from within Britain.
We need to acknowledge the reality of anti-whiteism. How can we ever hope to fix the issue if we can't acknowledge it honestly?
We'd like to thank the creators of this competition for giving us an opportunity to share our story honestly.
Thank you.
And there you have it, folks. The winners of the What is Anti-White competition, Laura and Sam, two of the most beloved people in the white sympathetic sphere. And fantastic video by the two sitting there. I guess it was in their kitchen. And just so you all know, it wasn't a glitch. N8Errific had to get back to his family. He's got some chores to finish up here, put some children to bed. And so we had to bid him adieu, but he wanted us to say goodbye and thank you to everybody who were here today. Mr. Porridge, what do you have to say about our first place winners of the What is Anti-White competition?
Oh, it was fantastic. I had a feeling that they might win, but Nate revealed something that they didn't actually tell their audience to go and vote for them. So the votes that they did get were people who honestly thought that was the most effective. So that's fantastic to hear. And also it's a huge credit to them that they, you know, we're not a huge, people could say, well, who the hell are Kindred Creators? Never heard of you guys. Why would I do that? I'm way too big to be dancing around down there with you. And we did contact some big creators, you know, and so some got back and said, this is a great idea. I hope you do very well with it. I don't think I'll have time to do it. And that's fine. And others, none of them said this, but I had a suspicion. It came across as though they were saying, well, why should I help your project out? As if it would be doing me a favor.
Right.
And in a sense, yes, it does help me out, but only because I want to help our people. It's not for me personally, and it had nothing to do with my channel. But they kind of had this, they would put out this sense that, you know, this would require hours and hours of my work, and why should I be trying to make you succeed in your endeavor?
Right.
But I think with Sam and Laura, absolute opposite. They saw it, that it was a good idea and got involved and they won from that, which is great. And the message is also about the double standard. And I think I've said this before, that it's the most best tool we have to convince people, but also the worst tool if it's used incorrectly.
Yeah.
And with conservatives, they'll say, oh, you punched me on Monday, you punched me on Tuesday, you punched me on Wednesday, but you didn't punch me on Thursday. Isn't that hypocrisy? Oh, well, what, do you want them to punch you on Thursday? Is that what you want? Because that's what they make it sound like.
Yeah.
But when you look at it from our perspective, if they were erasing other cultures, other races' cultures, and were demonizing their history, they were demonizing them for their race equally as they do with ours, we could just say, okay, well, it's some kind of terrible authoritarian who just has a hatred for humanity. But when we look at the differences in how they treat different races, it becomes undeniable that this is simply anti-white, that they would never do it to other races, not because they're hypocritical, but because they're anti-white. And that was the point Sam and Laura made, and it's a very powerful thing to show people that there is a completely different standard where one group of people are being told your race is sacred and must be celebrated, and the others are told that your race is the most evil thing to ever exist. So, we're really happy with that video.
Very well said. Really, and I agree completely. When you have these situations where, like, conservatives, and there are plenty who are a little bit more astute in the white sympathetic sphere, and they believe that the hypocrisy or the double standard is the thing in itself rather than the fulcrum to get to the point you want to make, and the delivery of our concepts. You were going to say something, brother? Sorry. No.
The LGBT flags on businesses, they put them up on Pride Month. They changed their logos to a Pride flag. And at the end of every Pride Month, all the conservatives say, oh, you took the Pride flags down, so you don't really care about LGBTQ issues. What on earth are they trying to achieve with that argument?
Yeah.
As if to say, oh, they're trying to cash in on this, as though it's a huge cash grab for these businesses. When people see these rainbow flags, they flood into their stores and buy everything. A lot of the time, this anti-white stuff and a lot of these other subversive ideologies like feminism are not popular really at all, and yet they'll push them because they are anti-white. So, yes. That's a point I think I was trying to make.
Well, it's an excellent point, and it's the typical thing that we have to win away the rank and file of conservatives, patriots, nationalists across the West. We have to win them away from this misleadership of these cuckolds who really think like their heads are up their rears, and with arguments like that, everyone is self-detonating and designed. It seems to lose, but we have the exact opposite of that. And this magnificent competition has highlighted that. It has highlighted people who are doers, achievers, and industrious. Every one of them glorious, and so happy, so very happy to be able to work with them shoulder to shoulder in our defense of Western kind. I'm going to take a quick look at the financial gifts. I don't know, maybe what we'll do is with the financial gifts, if neither Porridge or Nate want them, maybe what we'll do is we'll take them and set them aside for advertising for the next competition. Maybe that's an idea.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, we'll start off over here with Cash App, and we have the one and only White Student Transmission. Great to see you, brother. Financially gifting $15, and 15 love this What's Anti-White competition dollars, and says, appreciate the white positive stream. Excellent content, family. I couldn't agree more. That's beautiful. Very well said. $15 financial gift. And if you weren't on your feet, ladies and gentlemen, hand over your heart. Take your hats off. Quebec has shown up with a $50 financial gift in service to white well-being. Glorious, Quebec. God bless you. And he said everything he needs to say with the 50. Make it happen again with another competition. And let's have our voices go around the world, especially Liv Hyde's voice around the world. Porridge, were you going to say something?
No, thank you for the gifts, though.
All right. Good deal. Thanks. And it looks like, wow. If you weren't on your feet, if you are on your feet, climb on the shoulders of the person in front of you, and salute with one hand and your hand over your heart with the other. Ladies and gentlemen, extremely humbling, most generous, a princely sum by the great Quebec has followed up his $50 financial gift with $500 US.
Wow.
$500 for White. Well, he says, all were great videos. My gosh, let's really round of raucous emojis for Quebec, who it just has been here in service to white well-being forever, die hard, true champion in service to white well-being. My goodness, $500 for these videos. This is, I'm telling you, it's Liv Hyde's voice. It's the spirit of the West. It's the spirit of the West come through in a female voice. Wow, that is truly glorious. And thank you all for the raucous emojis and salutes. Porridge, did you have any idea that it would engender that kind of enthusiasm?
Well, these guys, I know them, and they're the most generous people you'll ever meet. So yes, I did kind of expect it. And I had to whack them off with a stick to say, nobody donate to this competition, because last time we did, and they were just overly generous. It got crazy. It was upwards of $1,000 from memory. And Jared took care of all the financial proceedings and that, but we wanted to keep it very simple, and we knew people would participate either way, with a prize or with no prize at all, and they did. But when you find a lot of these other communities in our spheres constantly e-begging, constantly asking, and constantly offering new things and new paywalls, and they're really desperate. You don't hear that around here. You get people voluntary giving those kinds of sums of money without ever being asked, and that's what's truly remarkable about it, because there's no huge egos here. It's just people who want to do the best for our own people, and that's what matters, and they know that this money is going to be used for that purpose.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be used for that. I mean, that is so epic. Thank you so much. What a family coming together. And you're absolutely right, Porridge. You don't have here these e-begging paywalls, buy the next T-shirt and the next hat. And by the way, these people very often are not only getting paid by their subscribers that way, but they also have folks behind the scenes paying them to continue giving them like their basic living expenses, as we know and as we learn increasingly, to continue spouting off tales that lead our people down these dead-end alleys. This is completely different. We've crossed with this competition and with this community in service to white well-being. We've gone across the continents. We've caught, it's none of this, small town, small vision mindset. We are a great white ring around planet Earth, and that's the way we have to be if we are going to be able to recapture our destiny. So we're talking about submissions from Germany, UK, Iceland, US, Canada, Australia. I mean, we're everywhere, and places I don't know, or I'm not remembering to say, where people were submitting their videos from. This is how it is. The only way. It is how it has to happen. And God bless everybody stepping up to make it happen. And you're right, brother, in an environment where everybody knows that we're all on a team. So as a team, we all have to play different roles, and together we climb over that crest of that mountain for that western sunrise. So beautiful. And God bless you all for celebrating the great Quebec. And we have the great No White Gill Clips, who is constantly at work, is constantly financially gifting as well. $15 financial gift from the great No White Gill Clips, who had a marvelous video in this competition. And he says here with the $15, thanks, Nate and Porridge. Great work, guys. And an exclamation point. Well, great. Thank you very much for all your great work. And let's see what we have over here on Entropy. Odyssey, we didn't miss anybody on Odyssey. On Entropy, we have a financial gift of $10 from the great Wayne Scully. And he says with those $10, thank you, brother. He says, great guests. I always enjoy lovely Porridge and N8Errific. Great work, gents. God bless you, man. Thank you so much for that. Always great to see you here. Porridge, what are your final thoughts, man, on this? Did you have any idea that folks were going to come together like this? And hopefully now we'll see people coming together and sharing and spreading these videos everywhere they can. I mean, I want to put this challenge out to people. Do you have like these small, in some cases it's small town, like these video competitions, these movie competitions? Might you submit one or more of these videos, and maybe it's an environment where a video like Liv's, for example, could fly, and they wouldn't automatically kick it right out, because she's clearly none of these videos are going after other races of people. We're not hating on other races of people. We want them, in fact, to join us in our fight against anti-whiteism. It's in their interests as well to beat back anti-whiteism, because there'll be no West if we don't. But what an epic thing this is, brother. And sounds like you were the prime driver, and that it started with you. I can't thank you enough, man. We love lovely Porridge. What are your thoughts, man?
Thanks, Jason. Well, we all feed off each other's energy. So, the more you give, the more you get back. And Jason, you're a huge part of this competition too, voluntarily just putting the word out there to your larger audience. But also those Gab ads, they were great as well. It's something new you've started doing with these Gab ads, but you use them for the competition, and that I could see the change on the channel. More people watching it, and these would have been people who probably wouldn't have been exposed to this type of thing. So we're really, really happy to have you supporting the project, and that goes for everyone, anybody who's involved to any extent. And it was largely this community. We just have to admit that that's the fact. You look at the names, they're familiar names, and they're not just video creators. They're people who work in other areas, and the top 3 people were all very active in stuff outside video content. So but it shows you how many brilliant people there are, and these people are committed to white well-being.
Yes.
And I know they'll all be here for many years to come as well, because none of us are going away. None of us are going to roll over and say, you win, anti-whites, do your thing. And I think I mentioned in that show that it means all the more that these people are doing this in some of the darkest times of anti-whiteism, in some of the hardest times to be white positive. And that just shows that they have an amazing character. And that's what I've seen from the responses to this competition, that these are the best people. So whatever the next 5 or 10 years brings, I don't know, but I know that you're all going to be here. You're all going to be doing the right thing and the most important work there is to do in the world. So thank you to Jason, and thank you to Nate, my co-organizer, who has left us now. But it was really a win for all of us as a community, and I look forward to whatever our next big victory will be.
Triumphantly said, my friend, and nothing more needs to be added to that. You are a champion, and I want to thank everybody who showed up today, participated in this conversation, and everybody, of course, who financially gifted. All of this is going to be set aside for the next competition for advertising again, and we'll have the advertising going from the get-go in the next competition. That'll be epic, because it'll bring more people to potentially participate. And please do your part. If you didn't do anything yet, don't just be somebody who watched the videos and maybe voted. That was good. But be somebody who takes these videos, you put them on your platforms, you share them in your circles of influence, increase your circles of influence. If you think, I really don't have very many circles of influence, Chase, well, then build your circles of influence so that you have folks to share these things with, the kind of people who will be able to hear what they have to say. And increasingly so, there are millions and millions of our brothers and sisters with ready ears and eager hands and bright minds, ready to make it happen. God bless everybody for being here. And I guess, as is traditional when it comes to the roll in, roll out, going freeze, it's been wonderful being with lovely Porridge and N8Errific. And we'll be talking with both of them again very soon. You know, these champions are going nowhere. We look forward to seeing you all again and these champs real soon. So roll out.